We live in extraordinary times. Before we begin with our welcome words this morning, I'd like to share with you words from Peter Weiner that I read in this morning's Atlantic. A beautiful Hebrew word, shalom, refers to overcoming strife and social tensions. But it means more than that. It implies harmony, wholeness, justice, and peace in the deepest sense. Love and fidelity will meet, we read in the Psalms, righteousness and peace now embrace. Weiner continues, I'm not naive enough to believe that a spirit of shalom will characterize politics in any era, let alone this one. But I believe that good people who revere this nation can, at certain key moments, strive to understand one another a little better, to resist the recriminations a little more successfully. We can even, in our best moments, see the humanity and dignity in those with whom we have fought pitched battles. As Weiner says, it's certainly a struggle for me, and I'm sure it's a struggle for a lot of you. And of course, it may not happen. We may go in the other direction, and we may ultimately break apart. But nothing is fated, and none of us is required to imitate the worst among us. It's possible to fight for justice without going to dark and dehumanizing places. Lord Charnwood said of President Lincoln, this most unrelenting enemy to the project of the Confederacy was the one man who had quite purged his heart and mind from hatred or even anger towards his fellow countrymen of the South. We can't meet the standards of Lincoln, our greatest president, but from time to time, it's worth reminding ourselves that they're worth aspiring to. This is one of those times. So now, good morning, and welcome to the Boulder Valley Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. I'm service leader Claire Marie Wall. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I'm joined today by guest speakers, Paul Brinteson and Thomas Briggs. Today's music is provided by Julie Morris on piano with song leader Michaela Sievers. Today's tech team is Deborah Mensch and Scott Yeomans. As I say the welcome words today, I invite those of you on Zoom to shift into gallery mode if you haven't already done so, and scroll through the screen so you can experience the beauty of this congregation. Those in person, look around and open your heart to everyone who is here today. You are all welcome here today, in all the beauty of languages, cultures, skin tones, shapes and sizes, gifts and challenges that come together in your uniqueness. You're welcome here. In all the ways you experience and express gender, you are welcome here. In the beauty that is who you love and how you love, you are welcome here. In all the ways you make your living and the places you are from, you are welcome here. With all the traditions that inform your spiritual life, you are welcome here today. No matter how long you are away or how soon you will return, you're welcome here. Whether you come with laughter in your heart or tears, you're welcome here. You are invited to join us with a curious mind, a loving heart, and a willing spirit. We welcome you today. We commit ourselves to being a center for spiritual exploration and justice making, and to anti-racism and anti-oppression work within and beyond our congregation. If you're new here, we're glad you found us. And we hope that in this community, whether you're with us in person or virtually, that you can experience the warmth and love of this congregation. Please come back several times to get to really know us. And we have many opportunities during the week for social connection and spiritual growth. Those on Zoom can check out the links in the chat to help you get connected. And those in person here can stop by the welcome table in the foyer for fellowship information and our newcomer form. There's also the QR code in the back of the hymnal. Everyone on Zoom is welcome to stay for casual conversation following the service. And we have one announcement. Visitors are invited to attend our new to UU session today to learn about our denomination and our fellowship. Grab a cup of coffee or tea from the fellowship hall and come to the sanctuary at 11:30. Now, if you are on Zoom, and please feel free to greet each other in the chat, and if you're a newcomer, let us know so we can greet you. We love to know who's among us. Those of you in the sanctuary, please take a moment to greet your neighbor. Much as I hate to cut off the conversation, it's now time to light our chalice, which Paul will do from the altar area. If you have a chalice at home, you can light it with me as Paul lights the chalice here. And you can write chalice lit in the name of your town. So please say the words with me as he lights the chalice. We light this chalice for the warmth of love, the light of truth, and the energy of action. I'll now sing the bowl and invite you into a deep connection with our community in the silence. Joyeux 14 juillet. Did you notice it's July 14th? Unless you're a Francophile, you probably forgot that today is Bastille Day, the French national holiday celebrated with fireworks and military parades. In 1789, the fortress prison that symbolized the tyrannical power of Louis XVI was stormed by a Parisian mob, a mob which liberated weapons, gunpowder, and 7 prisoners. For the revolutionaries, overthrowing the Bastille stood for overthrowing the oppressive powers of monarchy and also of the state religion. We may find some sympathy for their ideals: liberty, equality, brotherhood and sisterhood, etc. One group among us still finds solidarity with the liberté, égalité, fraternité of the French Revolution, and also with the earlier Enlightenment turn toward reason and away from superstition in religion. Those people are the humanists. Humanists have been foundational in this community, our Boulder Valley Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. One member recently asked me, "Aren't most of our services humanist?" And that's probably true. In today's service, one current group of humanist seekers, represented by Paul Bryntesen and Tom Briggs, Michaela Sievers, and myself, will share some of our religious explorations and discoveries as part of the responsible search for truth and meaning, as our UU principles affirm and promote. Liberté, égalité, humanité.
We as humans can build a better world, and we are thankful for this beloved community we share. Please rise and body your spirit and join me in hymn 128 in the gray hymnal, For All That Is Our Life. For all that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift, which we are called to use to build the common good and make our own days glad. For needs which others serve, for services we give, for work and its rewards, for hours of rest and love, we come with praise and thanks. For all that is our life, for sorrow we must bear, for failures, pain, and loss, for each new thing we learn, for fearful hours that pass, we come with praise and thanks. For all that is our life, for all that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift, which we are called to use to build the common good and make our own days glad.
Good morning. That was a loud one, wasn't it? I'm used to teaching for many years in an auditorium, and my voice learned to project out to those people way in the back. Am I a humanist? I'm going to talk about that a little bit today. 10 years ago, a significant event happened in my life. I was on a bike ride with 15 other bikers, and about 30 miles into the ride, a gentleman pulled up alongside of me and said, "Paul, I've read your book." And after a slight pause, he said, "You're a humanist just like me." And he picked up his pace and was gone. And I thought, I am? I'm a humanist? Well, it was significant because earlier that week, a friend of mine that we graduated from high school together in Minnesota emailed me and said, "Paul, have you become a humanist?" And I thought, no, I can't be a humanist. I've never thought I was a humanist. I've kind of run from humanism. So, how did I ever end up at BVUUF? So let's go way back many years. I grew up in a very loving, conservative Christian home where my father was a Pentecostal pastor. Our theology beliefs were very important. After graduating with a bachelor's and then a doctorate in hand, I joined the faculty at Evangelical Christian Oral Roberts University in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And for the next 15 years, that's where I taught. I thought I'd gone to Mecca, really, with my spiritual and academic background. But over those 15 years, doubts began to come in. The cognitive dissonance between science and reasonable thinking and rational process really started to conflict with my theological thoughts and ideas. And finally, at age 45, I resigned my position at Oral Roberts and said, I need to go somewhere else. And I joined a state university, and for the next 20 years taught at state universities. During that 20-year period, I knew I had to go become deeply involved in examining my beliefs. And you know, hardcore ideological beliefs are really hard to change. And it's also stressful for yourself, your family, your friends, what you do. But change, they did. Finally, at age 65, when I retired, I began writing. You know, professors have to write. I was used to writing. So I started writing about my theological journey, and in 2013, published a book. Amazon's wonderful. You can get anything published through Amazon almost. Published a book of about 200 pages titled The Bible Reconsidered, A Journey from Fundamentalism to Progressive Christianity. And this was the book that my two friends had read and said I had become a humanist. Interestingly, I didn't use the word humanism once in that book. Not once. But they said, by reading my book, my ideas, my thoughts, my values, I was a humanist. So it was a wake-up call in a way for me. I had to then evaluate, am I a humanist? Maybe I am. Maybe I didn't understand humanism correctly. And after probably a 2-year study of 100 books and many journal articles and conversations with many people, I concluded my two friends were right. I am a humanist. And I think maybe a lot of us are humanists and don't realize it. Then I had to think about, where would I go? Where is a fellowship where I can become a part of? And fortunately, I found Unitarian Universalism, and shortly thereafter, Donna and I discovered BVUUF, and we became members here. I soon became part of the Humanist Study Group for many years, led by David Leonard. As many of you know, David passed a few months ago after a long illness. Today, we're going to look at humanism. What is it? You might be one whether you know it or not. And where does Unitarian Universalism fit into that equation? Perhaps you're like me. Maybe you're a humanist and don't know it. David Leonard often said this, humanism is my religion. BVUUF is my community.
That takes a lot of us back to our roots. The text, by the way, is by Charles Little of the American Ethical Union. And there are something like 15 different texts in our gray hymnal, different words to that familiar tune. It is now time for our offertory. Each week we remind ourselves of the abundance of our lives and of this community by giving half of our plate away to those organizations that share our values. Today, the half plate is for our center in Longmont. That center assists individuals and families in need of food, resources, and the development of vital lifelong skills to enable self-sufficiency. In addition to providing meals, our center has created a welcoming, supportive, and inclusive place for residents within the boundary of the St. Vrain School District, providing services, respect, compassionate care, and honesty with all individuals and families. You can text your donation at the number on the screen, or if you are in the fellowship, please place a donation in the offering plate as it goes by. Please give generously. Also, as our appropriate musical reflection begins, we invite you to reflect upon and write into the chat, if you're on Zoom, your answer to this question. How could we support our local resource centers with our talents as well as our treasure? For the work of this fellowship, bringing love, compassion, reason, and justice to this world, and for our center, we dedicate these offerings.
Sorry about that. Good morning. One of the things we learned in the Humanist discussion group that Paul founded, along with Don Engelstad, was that there are many different journeys to the destination Paul just shared with us. Mine began with the feeling that I needed more community in my life. Simultaneously, I read the biography of J. Robert Oppenheimer by Kai Bird, in which he describes Oppenheimer's father's founding of the New York Society for Ethical Culture in 1876. Alas, the nearest ethical culture society organizations are in Seattle, Dallas, and Chicago, all impractical for this resident of Longmont. Nevertheless, that organization was a progenitor of the American Humanist Association, which has a chapter at 3rd and Knox in Denver called the Secular Hub. There I found, as I have here, lovely people and great programs with solid intellectual content. Again, however, it is too far from Longmont. I looked for other humanist organizations and found the UU Humanist Association, of which this fellowship is a member. That is the winding road that led me, rather improbably, to Eric's beautiful podium today. Given our common acceptance of humanism as a life stance, Paul was an inspired choice as my mentor when I joined our fellowship. Paul proposed, and I happily joined, the discussion group focused on Unitarian minister John Dietrich's religious humanism. Our group studied 10 of Dietrich's sermons from the 1920s and 30s in a book entitled What If the World Went Humanist? In one of his sermons, Dietrich posits 4 fundamental humanist beliefs. First, humans are an end in themselves, not mere instruments of the invisible sky people. Those are my words, not Dietrich's. Second, faith in the possibility of improving human life. Third, a belief in the essential unity of humankind, and, if a better world is to be established, bringing people to a consciousness of that unity. Fourth, faith that humans have the power to achieve these great ideals. And I can't go on without ad-libbing a moment here. I learned just this morning that we have history back to John Dietrich right here. Larry Sherwood's grandmother attended Dietrich's services in Minneapolis, and she may have heard those words. Dietrich's 4 points comprise the first definition of religious humanism as contrasted with Christian humanism, which dates from the 15th century. The phrase secular humanism dates to the 1930s, but no organization was associated with that term until 1980. You may hear the term scientific humanism. Most current observers subsume that idea within secular humanism. You may also hear the term Marxist humanism, but that is discredited because it rejects free will and because of its anti-democratic history. The literature suggests that Christian, secular, and religious humanism, sometimes joined by ethical culture, form the principal branches of modern humanism. Humanism itself falls in the taxonomy of philosophy alongside monotheism, animism, existentialism, fundamentalism, and naturalism. Recently, our discussion group has been considering Reverend William Murray's humanist religious naturalism, set forth in another book, copyright in 2007. Murray describes humanist religious naturalism as religious humanism for the 21st century. My assignment this morning was to define humanism. I have just placed the term humanism in the branches of the taxonomy and its branches in the taxonomy of philosophy. Going a bit deeper, there are many definitions from which to choose. The American Humanist Association gives us these lovely and powerful words. Humanism is a rational philosophy informed by science, inspired by art, and motivated by compassion. Affirming the dignity of each human being, it supports the maximization of individual liberty and opportunity consonant with social and planetary responsibility. It advocates the extension of participatory democracy and the expansion of the open society, standing for human rights and social justice. Free of supernaturalism, It recognizes human beings as a part of nature and holds that values, be they religious, ethical, social, or political, have their source in human experience and culture. Humanism thus derives the goals of life from human need and interest, rather than from theological or ideological abstraction. And it asserts that humanity must take responsibility for its own destiny. A moment ago, I mentioned the improbability of my presence here. My assessment of that low probability is my feeling of utter inadequacy to address both you and subject of this significance. Regardless, I was asked to share my response to my humanist belief. At that narrow personal level, speaking solely for Tom, I find great joy in the feeling of individual responsibility and agency humanism offers. I am in awe of humanism's potential for self-actualization and service to people and our glorious planet. It is empowering to know that I am responsible for taking the privileges afforded me by our culture and putting them to work to advance social justice. Today, I am far closer to the end of my life than its beginning. I find it quite satisfying to have come to an understanding of the direction of that life and its destination through my study of humanism. If something you have heard this morning piques your interest, the Humanist Discussion Group that Paul mentioned would welcome your contribution. We meet on the first and third Sundays at 9 a.m., and we would welcome your contribution. Thank you for your courtesy this morning.
This next hymn stokes our energy of action and individual responsibility to shape our future for the better. Please rise and body your spirit with the teal hymnal and join me in hymn number 1028, The Fire of Commitment.
From the light of days remembered burns a beacon bright and clear, guiding hands and hearts and spirits into faith set free from fear. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze, when our hunger and our passion meet to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin. From the stories of our living rings a song both brave and free, calling pilgrims still to witness to the life of liberty. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze, when our hunger and our passion meet to call us on our way,
From the dreams of youthful vision comes a new prophetic voice, which demands a deeper justice built by our courageous choice. When reform of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze, when our hunger and our passion meet to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin.
And now I invite us into our time of community connection, our time of sacred sharing. If you're on Zoom and you'd like to share a joy or a concern, please type it into the chat window and send it to everyone, and let us know briefly what's in your heart today. I'll read out loud what you share, and Paul Brinson will add a stone to our sacred waters on your behalf. Please remember that this is an opportunity for personal sharing, not for political thoughts or other announcements. We have, luckily, coffee hour. If you would like to speak to someone, though, to someone here about your concerns, please see the pastoral care team, and they might be able to speak with you about it. So if you're in the sanctuary, you can come up front, share your joy or concern using the microphone, holding it straight out in front of you, and Paul will add a stone to the waters. Or you can add a stone in silence. Let us also add a stone for the many challenges in our world today, and a last stone for all of the unshared joys and concerns that remain in that silent sanctuary of our hearts, knowing that even in our silence, we are bound together in the web of life. Thank you, Paul. For our pastoral care today, prayer today, we are going to use a responsive reading so that it will be a communal act. In our gray hymnal, there is a responsive reading number 466. It will also be up on the screens if you can see those. So number 466. It is entitled Religion, and it was written by Vincent B. Silliman, who was a Unitarian minister and wrote a great many hymns and new words to old hymns as well. So I will begin, and Michaela will lead your responses. Let religion be to us life and joy.
Let it be a voice, a renewing challenge to the best we have and may be. Let it be a call to generous action.
Let religion be to us a dissatisfaction with things that are, which bids us serve more eagerly the true and right.
Let it be the sorrow that opens for us the way of sympathy, understanding, and service to suffering humanity.
Let religion be to us the wonder and lure of that which is only partly known and understood.
An eye that glories in nature's majesty and beauty, and a heart that rejoices in deeds of kindness and of courage.
Let religion be to us security and serenity because of its truth and beauty, and because of the enduring worth and power of the loyalties which it engenders.
Let it be to us hope and purpose, and a discovering of opportunities to express our best through daily tasks.
Religion, uniting us with all that is admirable in human beings everywhere.
Holding before our eyes a prospect of the better life for humankind, which each may help to make actual.
And now we can sing Blue Boat Home. Thank you, Michaela.
I would say she ruined the surprise, but I don't know that it's a surprise. Our last hymn this morning revels in the beauty of our wide universe and the majesty of earth, our home. Please rise in body or spirit and join me in hymn number 1064 in the Teal hymnal, Blue Boat Home.
All below me I feel no motion, standing on these mountains and plains, far away from the rolling ocean. Still my dry land heart can say, I've been sailing all my life now. Never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home. Sun, my sail, and moon, my rudder, as I ply the starry sea, leaning over the edge in wonder, casting questions into the deep, drifting here with my ship's companions, all we kindred pilgrim souls, making our way by the lights of the heavens in a beautiful blue boat home. I give thanks to the waves upholding me, hail the great winds urging me on, greet the infinite sea before me, sing my sky, my sailor's song. I was born upon the fathoms, never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home.
Thank you, musicians. It is time, please be seated. It is time now to extinguish our chalice. As Paul does so, let us join in the words. We extinguish this chalice, but not the warmth of love, the light of truth, nor the energy of action. These we carry in our hearts until we meet again. And now if you'd like to stand and join hands, or give yourself a hug if that's what you prefer today. To paraphrase Carl Sagan, quote, a religion, old or new, that stresses the magnificence of the universe as revealed by modern science, might be able to draw forth reserves of reverence and awe. May we, as Unitarian Universalists, in our mixture of reverence for nature's glories and of humanism's call for positive action, continue to live out such a religion. Shalom and salam alaikum.